As the saying goes, if you lose your health, you lose everything. No matter how much money you have, it is of no use if you are sick. So the rich do their best to take care of their health and even hire a personal trainer. But I don't have to, because your boyfriend is a sports fanatic. Ellie warmed up enough with her stretches and then ran briskly on her treadmill. Her whole body was drenched with sweat, starting with her brown hair. I, who was running next to her, slowed down for less than 30 minutes, but Ellie ran another 20 minutes on the Troy Expressway. After a while she got off the treadmill and Ellie wiped her sweat with her towel. Her long hair was tied in a ponytail, and her outfit was black leggings and a white bra top. Her smooth abs and slender waistline were exposed. If this had been a hotel gym, everyone would have looked at her, both men and women. I'm glad I have a gym at home. She could be a sportswear model, she said. I still got offers from Nike and Adidas. Vesta released a new one of her previously filmed commercials, and Ellie's popularity skyrocketed once again, and the number of views of her Royal Fish and Chips commercials also skyrocketed. Best-in-class products, including rash guards, were sold hotly in the summer season, and thanks to that, model offers have been steadily coming in. It's a shame. Others are anxious because they want to be celebrities. Ellie drank her water and smiled. I don't know if I will do it again when I have a chance. I also want to try the Nike model. But this time, Nike held the Seoul night race. Are you running downtown at night? Fun. Of course. Running with other people is fun. A night race literally means running at night. It's not about ranking like a marathon, it's just about enjoying people running and running together. The urban running craze that started in the US and Europe has spread to Korea as well. It is a good idea to exercise together in a living space without having to go far. Of course, behind-the-scenes marketing strategies of sports brands are hidden. If you run in the city, will you be able to run in sloppy clothes? Of course, you should buy good, preferably famous brand, sportswear. Climbing masks are similar to the feast of outdoor brands. Okay, now that you've rested enough, squat. Yeah. While I was at work, Taekyu was smiling happily while watching the video on the tablet. At a glance, it looks like women are broadcasting live. Who are these guys? Pure Girls is a girl group. Poor girls. Taeyong was furious. Pure Girls. Be careful with your pronunciation. Did you do that on purpose? No. It's the first time I've heard of it, so how do I know if it's Poor Girls or Pure Girls? Common sense, which girl group in the world would you name the Poor Girls? Would you like to come out in rags and pound the can with a spoon and say something different? Sorry. A detailed explanation makes sense. Somehow he said it was a bit strange for a girl group name. Taekyu accepted the apology. Of course, it is true that they are poor. It makes me sad sometimes when I look at it. The accommodation here is also a semi-basement 2-room. But were you interested in 3D girl groups? Taekyu is surprisingly a girl group fanatic. That's because the objects are all 2D. Believe it or not, there are 2D idols in the world. Advances in technology have created virtual idols called virtual singers or Vocaloids. This virtual idol regularly releases albums, releases various character goods, and even hosts fan meetings and performances using screens and holograms. Thousands of fans gathered at the concert hall are enthusiastic about the virtual idols dancing and singing. I wonder what this is, but it's true. Hey, I just haven't had a girl I like until now. I have high eyes. After all, it would not be easy for a real person to feel 2D. Taekyu stopped the video and looked at me. Are you curious about Pure Girls? Not really. I'll explain, so listen carefully. Because I'm not curious. The beginning of Pure Girls. Taekyu lightly ignored my words and started explaining. Pure Girls debuted as a 4-member girl group 2 years ago. In the early days of his debut, he appeared on a number of over-the-air music programs, but did not gain much popularity. The same goes for House 2. And now that the third digital single album came out, it was barely showing up on the cable. Lee originally appeared in Idol Maker 99 and worked as a member of the QQ project. She said that after she broke up, she became the Pure Girls leader. For a girl group, freshness is life. There is a very low chance that a girl group that did not appear in the first place will appear later. Even amidst member withdrawals and replacements, the team leader, Earl, is said to be leading the team by steadfastly maintaining his position. Looking at the photo of Earl, she has plump cheeks and big eyes without double eyelids. Perhaps because of the pure white skin and wavy hair as the name of the group, I felt the innocence. I think I understand why Taekyu became a fan. Sanjiop Sr., who came to the side and listened to the conversation, said, Pure Girls. I know. I think I heard it. As K Company owns EDM Entertainment, it is fast in the Korean entertainment industry. Well, I meet a lot of female celebrities. It's not usually easy being successful as an idol. How many idol groups do you think will debut in a month? It's like a brain teaser question you use during an interview. I pondered for a moment and then said carefully, 10 teams. 10 teams. Is that too much? Then 5 teams. Senior Sanjiop burst out laughing. Are you kidding me? Even if it is small, it is 50 teams, and at many times it exceeds 80 teams. I was surprised by that. Not 50 people but 50 teams? 50 teams. Hundreds of people count. Of course, among them there are not only children who debut for the first time, but there are also many who are redebuting and redebuting. 50 teams per month, 600 teams per year. Is that digestible in the Korean market? Of course not. Considering the size of the Korean market, this is extremely saturated. This is true not only in the music industry but in the entertainment industry as a whole. If we say that we have 10 teams to debut, I wonder if the ones who make a profit will be one of them. For the rest, it would be nice if we could just hit the main camp. In terms of the market, it is a fierce red ocean. However, from the perspective of the agency, it is possible to spread the risk by creating several groups, but the individual must fully bear the risk. Still, the reason everyone wants to become an idol is, in a sense, you can call it a lottery. Most of the time it doesn't explode, but once it does, it's a huge hit. Behavioral economics also says it. Humans value the low probability and large amount of money rather than the reasonable expected return with an appropriate probability. For example, something like this. The winning lottery prize is about 2 billion won. The odds are about 1 in 8 million. Even if you change this to a winning of 20 million won with a 1 in 80,000 chance or 2 million won with a 1 in 80,000 chance, the expected profit is the same. However, if you ask which of the 3 lotteries to buy, most will choose the 2 billion won prize with a 1 in 8 million chance. When you see the kids on cable music programs, don't you think it's boring? But for some, it is also a dream stage. Idol kids don't usually clench their teeth like this. As long as people know your name, it's good to say that you've been incredibly successful. Because there are a lot of children who disappear without showing their faces on public music programs. Taekyu said as if he was sorry. Why can't Pure Girls come out? All the members are so pretty and work hard. Sanjiop Sr. shook her head. As always, hard work and success don't necessarily go hand in hand. There are some kids who can't come out even when major agencies push their looks, skills and efforts with all kinds of marketing, while a girl group just before disbandment runs backwards because of a fan cam and takes first place. Of course, if you don't work hard, it's hard to even seize that opportunity. While I was drinking coffee with Ellie in the living room, Taekyu quickly came out and turned on the TV. Today our Lee Earl appeared on SBC Music Box. This is the first public broadcast of this album. Ellie asked, "Who is Lee Air?" "I'm the leader of Pure Girls." Pure Girls. Again, Taekyu was excited and hesitantly explained about Pure Girls. He personally searched and showed pictures and videos. The psychology of fans is that he wants other people to like his favorite idol. In industry terms, this would be called propaganda, right? But didn't you say that the airwaves would be difficult? It looks like it worked out thanks to someone. Does Jinhoo not like girl groups? I do not know. I don't really have a favorite group. Why? Korean girl groups are pretty, sing well and dance well. Well, it is. Not only girl groups but Korean idols have skills that are second to none anywhere in the world. It's not just that the Korean wave is popular. You like girl groups. Why can't you tell me you like me? Huh? What do you mean? Taekyu said to Ellie as if to tell him. I was a 31 fan when he was in the military. Ah. 31. Now I remembered. For reference, among the 31 members, Lena seems to resemble Yuri a bit. Hey, Jinhoo likes girl groups. Well, it wasn't that I liked it, but the senior was a big fan. Are you senior? You've seen it before. My name is Sergeant Kim Jae-hak. I explained to Ellie. Even men who have never been interested in girl groups will open their eyes to girl groups when they join the military. And that preference is usually followed by the seniority. If the senior is a big fan of a girl group, he'll listen to the same song over and over until his ears bleed. Then at some point while shoveling you find yourself humming embarrassing lyrics such as, "You're really tickling my heart is ticking." Well, I'm not necessarily saying that. Ellie nodded her head as if she understood. Then do you still like 31? No. It was disbanded when I was discharged. Yuna and Lena switched to acting, Jessie moved to China, and Juhee recently started A-Tube. I know very well for something I am not interested in. Strangely, every time I went on the internet, articles were floating around. Still, as it is a girl group with whom I served in the military, I wish everyone well. It looks like our Earl is coming out now. The MCs who appeared on the TV screen chatted with each other. Mr. Han. Do you know who the group we are going to introduce this time is? Haesihoon. It's the same girl group that took first place even before the broadcast. A very famous person is a huge fan of this group. Yes. He said he liked it so much that he invested directly in the agency. Shall we bring you to this place? 4 Pure Girls members appeared. Good morning. Pure and refreshing Pure Girls. The male MC asked. Do you have anything to say to him? The leader, Earl, grabbed the microphone and lowered his head. Go, thank you, Seo Kong Jinhoo. We will work even harder as much as you believe in us. Read more at wuxiax.com. The lovely girls that Seo Kong Jinhoo has also captured as a fan. So shall we listen? Pure Girls, catch me please. Pooh. In an instant I spit out the coffee I was drinking. Ellie looked at me with a puzzled expression. It seems that Jinhoo really likes girl groups. I waved my hand in surprise. Oh no. What is not? It's okay. Be honest. Would you be mad at me for saying I like girl groups? But why does the voice seem angry? Is it your mood? Oh no. I am so innocent. Ellie drank her coffee and said calmly. It's okay. It's not wrong to like girl groups. Well, it is. But it is wrong to hide that fact and invest secretly. I am innocent. Why the hell did this misunderstanding arise? Could it be that the agency over there sold my name to turn off aggro? There are plenty of possibilities. What can't you do to wake up? But if you have common sense, you would never do it. How are you going to do the replacement? If not, I'll take you. For some reason, Taekyu looked shocked. What? I invested the money, so why am I thankful to Kong Jinhoo? After all, you were the culprit. Since interest came in a while ago, I just applied for our Earl to do well. How much is that? 3 billion. If this is enough, I would buy the whole small and medium enterprise. Who in the world pours 3 billion won into your favorite girl group? Well, that's the case. Why are you selling me because of your virtue? What are you talking about? I told EDM to tell them that OTK, the abbreviation of my name, is investing. You must be mistaken there. It started. Let's talk after this. EDM Entertainment also runs an entertainment agency, but its main focus is content investment. It directly invests and buys shares and also connects agencies with investors. In Pure Girls Entertainment, not EDM Entertainment, but Taekyu invested with his own money. There were some misunderstandings along the way. When he said that he would invest 3 billion won, Seo Sung-suhan of Pure Entertainment widened his eyes. Are you really saying that you are investing such a large amount of money? Jong Se-wook, head of investment team at EDM Entertainment, gave an explanation. Our president said that a high-ranking person at the OTK company headquarters directed the investment. No, are you high? Of course, the first person that comes to mind is one person in the head office of OTK company. Stand please. That's the hope. He asked me to tell him that OTK is investing directly. Ugh. OTK. Seo Seong-sohan could not close his open mouth. Who can call himself OTK, other than the CEO of OTK company? Damn, why is he so small like you? No, are you investing in a small agency? 3 billion won is a huge amount that is larger than the corporate value for small and medium-sized agencies, but OTK company makes tens of trillions of dollars in investment. Why would such a huge company invest in such a small and medium-sized entertainment company rather than the top three? He asked him to tell him that he was a huge fan of Pure Girls. He said that this song is good, so if you work hard you will do well. President Seong-sohan opened his mouth once again as his chin fell out. Oh my gosh. Jin Ho-kong is a Pure Girls fan. Jong Se-wook, head of the investment team, continued. The investment condition is to spend 3 billion won entirely for Pure Girls. Even if there is a full loss, there is no obligation to return the investment, and we will not hold you responsible. However, you must disclose the accounting books to us on a quarterly basis. And you must take legal responsibility in case of embezzlement or breach of trust. Again, it's something he cares about and takes care of. Until now, there are not only one or two people who fought against Kang Jin-hoo and her life ended. Even though President Seong-suhan knew about it, he did not have the courage to take his money away. But, as you know, we do a lot of cash transactions. I know that well. As long as you don't do things that cause problems, there will be no problems. You said that you want to move from the dorm first. Hey. I will move it right away. President Song-suhan called the Pure Girls members together. All 4 girls looked nervous at the sudden call from the boss. It has been 2 weeks since the 3rd album started, but there was no reaction. Appearing on cable TV a few times and performing at shopping malls or local festivals are all. If it doesn't show up again, won't it be disbanded? I have an important announcement. As if everyone had an intuition to disband, some members burst into tears. But the president's announcement was completely unexpected. CEO Kang Jin-hoo is your fan, so he made the investment himself. At those words, all the members looked at each other with bewildered expressions. If you are CEO Kang Jin-hoo? Isn't he super rich? Wow. Are you really our fan? The members did not realize how huge this was. However, Earl, who had led the team through all kinds of hardships for 2 years after his debut, was different. No, that's absurd. It is no exaggeration to say that Kang Jin-hoo is the most famous Korean in the world. Is it true that there are many foreigners who do not know the name of the Korean president, but there is no one who does not know Kang Jin-hoo? Earl was surprised by the unexpected luck. She clasped her hands tightly and wept. Thank you, CEO Kang Jin-hoo. Exclusive coverage. Jin Ho-kong, CEO of OTK Company, directly invested 3 billion won in Pure Entertainment. Turns out I'm a fan of Pure Girls. An internet newspaper reporter who happened to hear this news quickly wrote an article and posted. Countless entertainment articles pour in every day. If it was just an article about Pure Girls, people wouldn't have paid much attention. However, the person who made the investment was none other than Kang Jin-hoo. The article was uploaded to the portal main page within 10 minutes of being uploaded, and the link spread quickly. Did you see the article? Jin Ho-kong said he invested in a girl group. You're a Pure Girls fan. She is a famous idol, did I not know? It's been 2 years since her debut. How did Jin Ho-kong find these kids? Even if you're busy, you seem to have time to do it. In less than an hour it recorded 5 million views and overtook the divorce news of a top celebrity, taking the first place in the Real Sword. Broadcasters were also outraged. What the hell are the Pure Girls doing? Which agency do you belong to? I don't know who they are, but try casting them before you get caught in other entertainment stations. When one of the teams on the schedule made a funk, the person in charge of SBC's music box immediately casted him and decided to appear. Even if experts use all kinds of marketing, it is difficult to get a name out of an idol. In particular, it was not easy for an idol in their second year of debut to make an issue. However, with the news that Jin Hu Kong invested, he was reborn as an idol that everyone knows. Haha, Kong Jin Hu ducking out. It's a girl group that the president pushes. Hey. If OTK Company's capital pushes it, it will soon enter the global market. Girl group raised by the president, happy face. It's really spring again after the earthquake. I thought she was a cold-blooded investor without blood or tears, but she must have been a girl group nerd. I'm not old enough to like girl groups, I understand everything. Isn't her model girlfriend angry and throwing fish and chips? Oh, royal fish and chip. If you know Im Jin Young and Chai Won-tae, they can all be uncle fans. Don't go to Kong Hyung in the future. There are no bad people in the world who like girl groups. Hyung, therefore I will also go all in to Pure Girls from today. So who's the first pick? The more I look at her, the cuter she gets. After the broadcast of SBC Music Box, Pure Girls became the #1 contract for all over-the-air music shows. It is not surprising that a celebrity can quickly become famous when he introduces a specific product or person to the media or SNS. Therefore, SNS celebrities are called influencers in the sense of influencers. In China they are called Wang Hong. And recently marketing using this has been actively conducted. I'm not a celebrity either, but I'm a celebrity. In that respect, it can be said that he is an influencer enough. Still, it's going to have such a huge ripple effect. Pure Girls, a so-called unheard-of girl group until a few days ago, has now become a girl group that no one knows about. The ranking of Catch Me Please, which I couldn't tell if it was somewhere at the end of the Mango chart, also climbed to 3rd place. Good. With this momentum we could be #1 tomorrow. It's been a while since I felt sad that I didn't know what I had invested in. With the heart of a true fan, they are only cheering for Pure Girls to do well. As I stared at him, Taekyu muttered as he looked out at the garden for nothing. When I see the green weeds, I can feel the radiant beauty of life. Seeing you suddenly say something crazy, I think I knew what I was doing wrong. Taeyun patted my shoulder. Why don't you just take this opportunity to become a Pure Girls fan? The people of the country already know that. Now I can't say no. It's easy to say you like someone, but it's not easy to say you don't like someone. If I deny the truth, Pure Girls will be lying. Looking back, this is also what made me misunderstood. So, in the end, this is all because of Oh Taekyu. Reporters rushed to the company and pushed the microphones. Is it true that you are a Pure Girls fan? How much do you like it? Did you invest because you were a fan? It is a familiar situation for reporters to come and ask questions. If there is one difference, up to now reporters from the political, economic and social departments have come to me. This time he is a reporter for the entertainment department. There was also a reporter for an entertainment program that you could recognize by looking at his face. Perhaps this scene will also appear on programs such as Celebrity News. Reporter Lee Myung-hoon, a former comedian, shouted loudly. Who is CO Kong Jin-ho's first pick? People are curious. Why do people wonder who my first pick is? Actually, I don't even know who the Pure Girls members are. Are you Lee? At least I know Lee because Taekyu showed me how to do it and explained it. He said the kid was cute. I only thought so for a moment, but the reporters from the entertainment department did not miss my expression. Did you admit that the first pick was Earl? Then who is the second pick? What do other members think? Tell me. Anyway, for the Pure Girls, it must have been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right? It's up to them to catch it and not catch it. I sighed inwardly as I recalled the threat disguised as "Oh, take you's request. Please give Pure Girls a lot of support. Girl group invested by the world's richest man. What are the charms of the Pure Girls members that captured Jinho Kang? Are you sure that Jinho Kang's first pick is Earl? So what's the second pick?" Pure Girls' new song, Catch Me Please, is gaining popularity. Leader Earl appearing in National Entertainment Infinite Challenge. All Pure Girls members appear in the Star Quiz. Solar show off her singing skills in the duo song. What the hell is this? The articles have been pouring out for days. The issue has also spread abroad. The main screens of sites that introduce Korean entertainment information are covered with pictures of Pure Girls. Foreign media re-examined Korea's idol culture and the Hallyu craze, and interest in idols active abroad has increased significantly. The industry was hoping that this would lead to full-fledged investment in Hallyu content and the growth of the cultural industry. In fact, many investment companies have considered investing in Enter shares. Senior Sanjiop, who is quick-witted, explained this job. Entertainment stocks have good growth potential but risks are too high. He's a jackpot if it pops up and it's a rip-off if it doesn't. Another problem is that most of those risks are human risks. Trees with many branches do not have good wind. These days there are more than 10 groups with many members, and it is a time of raging rage. Buying and hitting just one of them will cause a riot. I nodded. That's why value investors don't like entertainment very much. Even if it's not just drunk driving, assault, or sex crimes, stock prices fluctuate when only rumors of a relationship or personality problems break out. This is the biggest reason why Enter stocks are undervalued. Entertainment companies also enter various businesses to spread these risks. Taekyu, who heard the story, tilted his head. But when you think about it, isn't it strange? In the past, when Japanese pop culture was opened, it was said that all Korean pop culture would be eaten by Japan, but the result was the opposite. It was about 20 years ago that Japanese pop culture opened up in earnest. At that time, Japan was the world's second largest economy and produced cultural contents appropriate to the size of the economy. Like other industries, the perception that Korea was 10 years behind Japan was dominant in the cultural industry. Surprisingly, however, Japanese popular culture did not have much power in Korea. While Japanese idols remained in the domestic market, Korean idols spread throughout Asia. Conversely, this is due to the difference in market size. Japan, with a population of over 100 million and high incomes, can make enough profits just by focusing on its domestic market. However, in Korea, where domestic demand is relatively small, they hurried to enter overseas markets early, thinking that overseas expansion was the only way to survive. Thanks to this, Korean idols have been very popular in China, Japan, and Southeast Asia, and recently the Korean wave is also creating a wave in Western countries such as the United States and Europe. Looking at this, Korean idols are amazing. What happened after I was forced to duck out? Because of Taekyu and everyone I met talked about Pure Girls. The older, middle-aged bosses said with a smile. I'm watching Pure Girls well. I became interested because the representative liked it, and the more I looked at it, the more I fell in love with it. Haha. I also joined the Pure Girls fan club. A child named Solar is very kind. This is my first pick. Heh. How about going to the next Pure Girls concert? Stop it now. Hyunju Oh, president of Golden Gate Korea. She was recently ranked number 7 on Time magazine's list of influential women. Considering that the first place is IMF President Juljans, the second place is German Chancellor Meisner, and the third place is the EU President, this is a very high ranking. Although she was ranked 7th in the list of influential female figures, she proudly took first place in the list of richest women. This is because OTK Company owns a 3% stake. The value of the stake she received as her younger brother almost passed it on to her, and it has already surpassed $30 billion. Although she had enough money to spend her whole life playing and eating, she did not neglect her main job. Except for maternity leave, she never took a break from work, and she took care of work and meetings herself. Golden Gate's Korean branch was busy ahead of her opening. The same goes for other brokerages, because today was going to be a big event. The Kospi Index, which once stayed only at the 2000 level and used the stigma of the box price, rose steadily and crossed the 2700 level at the beginning of this year. This was the steepest rise among emerging countries. Controversy over the Korean stock market's highs continued, and experts expected a major correction in the near future. Clearly, it was difficult to dominate the Korean stock market in a situation where the world economy stagnated. In anticipation of this, some institutions sold their stocks and increased short selling. But at this point, the Simangium development plan suddenly exploded. This was a huge boon for stocks and small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, that were excluded from the bull market. The uptrend ignited by the IT sector continued to strengthen as construction, machinery, travel, hotels, and materials were cycled through sales. Yesterday's closing price on the Kospi was 2,986 points. Now, if it rises only 14 points, 0.47%, it will finally break through the 3,000 line, which can be said to be the section of the devil. Yesterday, the global stock market strengthened due to the strong announcement of the U.S. economic indicators, so everyone expected the Kospi to break through 3,000 today. The stock market, which showed an upward trend in the same order before the opening, rose more than 1% to the opening price of 3,019 points at 9 o'clock. The Korea Stock Exchange exploded the prepared congratulatory cannon, and Korea Stock Exchange Chairman Lee Hyun-rak and Financial Services Commission Chairman Yoon Sung-yamo appeared on the scene and rejoiced with the employees. It is the first time in history that the stock price composite index has crossed the 3,000 line. It was truly historic. News channels sent out breaking news all at once, and over-the-air channels showed subtitles during other broadcasts. Even during the morning drama broadcast, the phrase, "The Kospi 3000 era has begun," came to mind at the bottom. There is no stock trader who is not happy with the bull market. Internet stock bulletin boards were noisy. Wow. The real story that the main character just hit the Kospi 3000 while he was fighting with kimchi? Haha, did you do something all of a sudden? I'm sure I'll see the Kospi 3000 in my lifetime. Stock traders must be excited today. Go to Jisu for 100 days. If my stock doesn't go, it's useless. Jerome Technique got it. It'll be out of business soon. Get out quickly. Oh, damn it, TT, I got rid of everything a few days ago after hearing the analysts say that it would be adjusted TT. Each past president promised to go to the Kospi by 3,000, but Kong Jin-woo kept that promise. Brothers who share stock, let's always live with gratitude to Jin-Hoo Kong. Ah, this is real. The employees of Goldgate's Korean branch all stood up and clapped. Golden Gate continued to buy Korean stocks even when other securities companies were selling stocks and short selling. Thanks to this, the rate of return was overwhelmingly number one among all securities companies. Hyunju shook his head as he watched the news. I think we will see the day when the Korean stock market goes up to 3,000. Ellie smiled brightly. It's all thanks to Jin-Hoo and Taekyu, isn't it? Hyunju smiled bitterly and nodded his head. Well, if it wasn't for the two of us, we might still be staying at the 2,000 mark. Hyunju woke up and reached out with his glasses on his side table. As he put on his glasses, he saw his husband sleeping next to him. His son was asleep in the crib next to him. Seeing the two of them sleeping next to each other, I realized once again that they were married. He always thought that work came first, but he met a man he loved and had a child. Could you have imagined a life like this just a few years ago? Hyunju put on a robe and went out to the living room and took out a bottle of wine from the cellar. She is uncorking and drinking wine alone, when her husband comes out of the living room. What are you doing? I can't sleep well. Can we drink together? Of course. Henry brought a glass and poured the wine. The two lightly clapped their glasses. Are you very busy these days? I don't know how the day goes by. Hyunju brushed away the flowing hair. She woke up all of a sudden thinking that she hadn't even. washed her face. Usually, in front of other people he looks undisturbed, but it must be only in front of her husband that can show this figure. Hyunju said as if making an excuse. Yeah, I'm still trying to keep my work hours. I also want to have dinner with my family. Henry hugged her quietly. I'm working hard, so there's no need to overdo it. Thank you. Somehow she felt reassured. Sometimes it feels strange. After the Korean branch was established, I never thought that I would become the branch manager. When she joined Golden Gate and worked in New York and Hong Kong, she was just one of many. In retrospect, all of this was due to the suggestion of her brother and sister friend that day. If she had turned down the offer, she wouldn't have been the manager or even met Henry. Hearing this, Henry laughed. Thanks to you two, we met like this. Hyunju nodded her head. I also met the lovely Gun-ai. It was hard to even imagine life without them now. Henry said while drinking wine. The Semanjium new town plan seems to be going well. Should we also move to Semanjium? They said they would go unconditionally, so it should be. OTK Company is Golden Gate's best customer. The mere fact that OTK Company is moving to Semanjium is reason enough to change the company. However, as the size of the Korean branch grew, I felt the need for expansion. In Korea there is a saying that Seoul is Korea and the concentration of Seoul is serious. Synergy occurs when people and capital are concentrated in one place. However, to a certain extent, if everything is concentrated in Seoul as it is now, it is rather negative. The new Semanjium city will become a new growth engine for Korea. Various new industries are already simmering in Korea. This can also be called the OTK effect. Hyunju stuck his tongue out. I still can't believe how they came up with that idea. In fact, anyone can think. But investing money to make that idea a reality is something no one can do. Jinhoo has something that others don't have. What should I say about that? Inspiration as an investor? Talent. Henry immediately understood what he meant. If you look at a ball flying at 100 miles per hour and judge whether it is a fastball or a changeup, the ball is already in the catcher's glove. A good hitter senses the pitch and swings the bat sensually instead of logically reasoning. They say that feeling is acquired through training, but some people have it from birth. Yes. It makes me jealous. It's literally the realm of talent, not hard work. From the perspective of a person who has worked hard all his life, it is simply envious. This is the same in any field. Just because everyone makes an effort doesn't mean everyone can achieve the same result. In any case, his investment talent put Kang Jin-hoo among the world's richest men. Now, it is impossible to talk about the world economy without mentioning the aftermath of the earthquake. You know the word sekai? Henry tilted his head. I do not know. Are you Japanese? Yes. This is what Taekyu said when he was in the midst of animation. In a world that is perishing, ordinary boys and girls emerge, and their choices determine the fate of the world. Why do you think that you are different from others when you are adolescents and that you are a very important person when you get to know them? But those middle school students really became the most important people in the world. The higher a person rises and the more money he has, the greater his influence on the world. It is difficult for an individual's actions to have a significant impact on society, but the policies the president put forward determines the lives of the people. Henry nodded his head as if he understood. Actually, it was the same with Big One. Big One collapsed Silicon Valley, the cradle of American high-tech industries. If we hadn't prepared in advance, the world's history would have changed drastically in the future. Only this new Semanjium new town. It took more than 20 years for the central government to develop Pudong. However, when Jinhoo Kong started to develop Semanjium, world capital moved accordingly, and now the entire Semanjium has been transformed into a huge construction site. Hyunju's help was a big factor in their success. With the help I gave, anyone could do it. If it wasn't for me, the two of us would have done well. Hyunju remembered the first time he met Jinhoo Kong. Until then, he was a college student himself, and his brother and his friend were immature middle school students. Jinhoo wanted to go to Korea University, so she taught me this and that. Those kids have grown up like that. I make a lot of money too. But in my eyes they still look like children. All I can do is worry. Henry laughed softly. Maybe they both want it. Hyunju smirked. Don't you think I'm just a nag? My grandfather said. Even when everything is going well, someone should always be worried and suspicious. Hyunju said as he drank the remaining wine. What kind of future will these children open up? Henry seemed to know what she was worried about. A murderer with a gun or a knife kills dozens, but a dictator can kill tens of millions with good intentions. If they misuse the capital they have, many people may get hurt. Henry gently wrapped her arms around her shoulder. They will definitely lead in a good direction. Because Hyunju will keep nagging next to you like now. At that Hyunju smiled. Go back to bed. I think I will be able to sleep well today. The development of Simangium proceeded at a tremendous pace. Excluding companies related to OTK Company, the biggest investment is in Seosong Group. Even if the market caps of all affiliates are combined, it is not enough for OTK Company, but the influence in Korea is more than that. Thanks to the expansion of self-driving cars, the semiconductor supercycle continued, and Susong Electronics' cash reached KRW 500 trillion. Susong Electronics decided to pour 180 trillion won into a semiconductor cluster to be built in Simangium New City. This included not only memory semiconductors, but also expansion of non-memory semiconductor facilities. Seosong SB decided to invest 70 trillion won to establish the largest OTK battery factory in Korea, and Salon Hotel to invest 5 trillion won in a complex resort and 3 trillion won in Silver Town linked with Seosong Hospital. Chairman Im Jin-young took care of the related matters. Simangium is the future of Korea and the future of our Seosong Group. Other large companies as well as related SMEs moved along with Seosong Group's aggressive investment. However, something unexpected happened in this situation. Breaking news. Confession of conscience from insider of Seosong Group. Chairman Jin-young Lim, recognized in advance of issuance of low-priced convertible bonds. Direct instruction of Seosong Bio's accounting fraud. Submission of transcript as evidence. Acquisition of internal documents in the process of illegal succession of management rights of Seosong Group. Chaebol reforms civic group accusation of Chairman Im Jin-young to the prosecution. If the evidence presented to the prosecution is true, it is difficult to avoid arrest. Illegal acts in the process of succession of management rights to the Seosong Group were a long-standing issue. In this regard, Chairman Im Jin-young's strategy was simple. Everything was done by people close to him and he didn't know anything. In fact, if you think about it a little, you can see how ridiculous this is. The parties do not know anything and remain silent. It is said that people around him gave him management rights by mobilizing all illegal and expedient methods such as issuance of convertible bonds at low prices, accounting fraud and mergers of affiliates. After the change of government, an investigation was conducted, and the aides were willing to take the blame. Kijin Cha, president of Seosong Bio, and Sejun Myung, president of Seosong Bio, who can be said to be key aides, have already been arrested and are on trial. When bribes given to politicians in exchange for acquiescing in the succession process became a problem, they were driven to the instructions of the already deceased chairman, Kwon Lim. Chairman Im Jin-young took all the profits from the illegality, but he escaped all charges safely. But this time it was different. Transcripts and documents of direct instructions were leaked, and his testimony that he did not know anything turned out to be false. When the lawyers reviewed the legal principles, they agreed that there was no way to avoid arrest. In fact, no one in the Republic of Korea thought that Chairman Im Jin-young was innocent. Even those who defended Chairman Im Jin-young did not deny the illegal acts he committed. On the internet, opinions for and against were fiercely opposed. Hey, Jin Dragon Hyung, I didn't see it like that, so I'm very disappointed. Still, Im Jin-young is different from other presidents. I often eat with the staff at the cafeteria, play online games with the staff, and come out wearing a Batman mask on YouTube, etc. Hey, no matter how commoner you are to cosplay, in the end a chable is a chable. Listening to the transcript, he was just plainly directing accounting fraud. Is it true that you buried the ledger and hid it with tools in preparation for the prosecution's investigation? Lim Jin-young class, that all you have to do is take the management right no matter what the national pension loss is. How much has Jin-young Lim contributed to the Korean economy? Does it make sense to confine him to something like this? Kill the chable. If all the chables are captured in this way, who will invest in Korea? Arrest even after Kong Jin-hoo. No, what does this have to do with killing a chable? You are being punished because you have sinned. Am I the only one who doesn't understand now? Huh. Only you don't understand. Think about what the Seo-sung Group has done for Korea. Did Im Jin-young do it alone? The tens of thousands of employees working in Seo-sung and the people who worked hard for them as their own companies did nothing? So, isn't it Jin-young Lim who hired those employees? If it hadn't been for them, they would all be unemployed now. Contributions to the economy should be acknowledged. It's so absurd. Then why don't other people contribute to the economy and put them in jail even if they steal just one ramen? He said that if Im Jin-young shoots a gun, release him. No matter how good you usually live, if you commit a crime, it is natural for you to be punished. Is this so weird? Haha, I know it's not guilty of hereditary innocence, but even the people would think that way. The media reported on the incident every day. No matter how big the influence the Seo-sung Group had on the media, it was such a big event that any media had to report it. Public opinion was divided over the issue of arrest and punishment of Chairman Im Jin-young. Some people shouted that they should be punished because they had committed a crime, while others raised their voices that the adverse effects on the economy should be considered first. Seo-sung Electronics is the world's largest IT manufacturing company. Since we have relationships with almost all companies, everyone was closely watching how this situation would affect the future. You asked. How is this going? Are you really going to be arrested? Well, according to the law, he should have been arrested earlier. However, Korea is very tolerant of chaebol president's crimes. The Republic of Korea is a country governed by the law, and all citizens are equal before the law and no special classes are recognized. If they commit the same crime, they should receive the same punishment. In principle, it should be, even if not in practice. However, even this natural logic is not properly followed in front of money. In the meantime, chaebols have received commutation, probation, and special pardons for contributing to the Korean economy. Taeyong tilted his head. Then what about non-regular workers or daily workers? Despite the difficult circumstances, those people worked hard for the development of the Korean economy, not shying away from all kinds of bad things at the bottom of society. Then shouldn't we have to deal with those people's crimes? I sighed. Because people are not equal. The higher the status and the more money you have, the greater your influence on society. Needless to say, who has a greater impact on society, contingent workers or CEOs? Chairman Im Jin-young has certainly made a great contribution to the Korean economy so far. And he will continue to contribute more in the future. But that doesn't mean he can commit a crime. I think so, but I got a phone call from Chairman Im Jin-young. Are you okay for a moment? I nodded. I will go there. I arrived at Seo-sung Group's Gangnam office building. As soon as I entered the building, I could feel the atmosphere changed. Everyone knows the Sim awakened of this day. We went up to the president's room following the guidance of the waiting staff. Chairman Im Jin-young looked very tired. He would not have been able to sleep properly because he was responding to the incident right after the incident. I asked bluntly, "How do you think it will be?" He said quietly, "It seems like it will be difficult to avoid restraint. It looks like you've already made up your mind. How many times in a person's life are they going to be arrested? It is said that it costs about 50,000 won per day to manage one inmate. 1 month is 1.5 million won and 1 year is 18 million won. In other words, restraint means that the state spends that much money and isolates it from society. It is not uncommon for the chairman of a chaebol group to be arrested in South Korea. More than half of the 10 group presidents have been to prison at least once. Is this because the Korean judiciary imposes too harsh a standard on the chaebol presidents, or is it because the chaebol presidents commit too many sins? In any case, there has never been a single time when a pacifist was arrested while the various presidents were in and out of the prison. The highest sentence was that the late chairman Im Il-kwon was found guilty of creating a borrowed name account worth hundreds of billions of won, and he was sentenced to death without detention and ended with a probation. Fortunately, he was immediately pardoned 3 months later. If he is arrested this time, it can be said to be the first of its kind. How much do you think it will fit in? They said that if you include all the charges applied, it could be 20 years. We will do our best, but if not, we should expect a special amnesty. He was different from other chaebols in many ways. He sometimes thought he was a really good senior. However, if you think about it, Jin Yong Lim is the best chaebol in Korea who leads the Kyoseong group. Behind his playful and easygoing appearance lies the coolness and greed of a chaebol. However, I did not think that he had acted pretentiously all this time. Perhaps both of them are his true face. I called the CEOs of affiliates and gave instructions about the ongoing work. There will be no problems with the investment process. If you are continuing what you are doing, there is no need for a president. However, the presence of the chairman is essential when making important business decisions such as large investments. This Seamangium investment would have been difficult without the determination of Chairman Im Jin-young. Kyoseong Group is the most important partner of OTK Company. But no relationship is everlasting. If Chairman Im Jin-young is arrested, other groups may try to take his place. Of course, steps have been taken to prevent that from happening. In any case, as there are many related businesses, his arrest can be said to be a blow from our point of view. Did you have to take over the management right like that? In the process of succession, they did not pay the taxes they had to pay, damaged the property of shareholders, and inflicted a loss on the National Pension Service. Since he took over as chairman, Kyoseong Group's sales have risen sharply and its stock price has risen sharply. More taxes were collected and the wealth of shareholders and the retirement funds of the people increased. However, good results do not eliminate the illegality of the process. If he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have been able to fully inherit the group. In American companies, the founder's stake is usually 15%, or at least 10%. However, the stakes of Korean chaebols are at most 3 to 5%. There are 2 reasons for such a low equity ratio. The first is that the company has expanded its affiliates through octopus style, and the second is that it was able to control the group with a small stake through a holding company or circular shareholding. However, this abnormal governance structure exposes weaknesses in the succession process. Inheritance tax occurs in the process of handing over the shares, and the shares are split when other children who think they have been neglected in the inheritance process each claim their share. In fact, in this process the group is often disbanded or divided. Unsung Group did the same. Therefore, in order to fully inherit the group, ordinary people commit all kinds of illegalities and expedients that cannot be imagined. However, his statement was wrong from the start. The Kyoseong Group is not the private property of the Im family, but a corporation. The owners of Kyoseong Group are shareholders who own stocks. Read more at wuxiax.com. Therefore, if you want to inherit management rights, you must obtain the approval of the shareholders in a legitimate way. I have been vaguely aware of it since I was a child. That one day I will have to inherit my father's work. I couldn't even think of any other way. Like a king's son heirs the throne? Chairman Im Jin-young smiled. Self-help. Your junior is still young, so it may not be easy for you to understand. I really don't understand. Was there really no other way? The Kyoseong Group has already been hereditary for 3 generations. So what happens after he dies? I remembered the son of Chairman Im Jin-young whom I saw the other day. Are you going to pass the presidency to your son in the future? He didn't answer. The prosecution applied for an arrest warrant to the court, and the lawyers on Kyoseong's side argued. that the investigation should be conducted without detention as there is no fear of destroying evidence or escaping. Hereditary innocence. It is said that she is not guilty, but what is important is the legal principle. Prosecutors cannot prosecute outside the jurisprudence, and judges cannot make decisions outside the jurisprudence. In the past he might have been investigated without detention, but the timing was not right. Chaebol reform was the current administration's task. The newly appointed Prosecutor General Moon Dae-suk declared that the investigation of taking care of the chaebol, which had been regarded as customary as a corruption, would be investigated only in accordance with laws and principles. The first target was Daesung Group chairman Choi Ju-won. He secretly stole the company's money and personally invested, but failed, causing 30 billion won in damage to the company. In the past it wasn't a big deal. It was a case that could end with a probation after receiving a trial without detention if he was willing. However, the court detained Chairman Choi Ju-won, and the second trial is currently underway under detention. However, in the case of Chairman Im Jin-young, only the amount revealed is already in trillions. Contrary to the previous case, the evidence is solid. If the investigation was not carried out under these circumstances, it would be tantamount to admitting that the prosecution applied the law differently from person to person. When Chairman Im Jin-young appeared to receive a warrant substantive examination, the reporters all pointed at cameras and microphones. Did you direct Seo Sung-bio's accounting fraud? Are you directly involved in the succession process? Are you admitting the crime? Chairman Im Jin-young gave a short answer with a firm expression. I will faithfully engage in the investigation. Amid the public's attention, the warrant substantive examination lasted more than 6 hours. And finally the results were announced. Breaking news: Seosung Group chairman Im Jin-young arrested. Surprised by the shock of Seosung Group. Unprecedented CEO arrest. What is Seosung Group's response plan? Voice of concern within the business world. OTK company does not reveal a separate position. As a result of the warrant review, Chairman Im Jin-young was imprisoned in the Seoul Detention Center. You asked. Isn't Your Excellency there too? Right. Seoul Detention Center is famous as a gathering place for tiger hair. It is not an exaggeration to say that most people with money and famous people are imprisoned here. For reference, the detention center and the prison are basically the same place, but unconvicted prisoners whose crimes have not yet been confirmed in the detention center and convicted prisoners whose trials have been completed are accommodated in the prison. For ordinary people, it's something you don't need to know in your lifetime. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't been investigated several times by the prosecution. When the arrest of Chairman Im Jin-young was decided, some people were happy, saying, justice has finally been realized, while others criticized it as killing the current government's chaebol. Prosecutors dismissed the controversy, saying, being a chaebol did not impose harsh standards, nor did it give preference to being a chaebol. As the Korean economy is now more dependent on the Seosung Group than ever, the arrest of Chairman Im Jin-young was a difficult task for the current government as well. That doesn't mean that I can't ask you to release me when the suspicion of a crime is clearly exposed. Conservatives were concerned about the immediate impact on the economy. And to some extent this turned out to be a reality. In the meantime, several chaebol presidents have been arrested, but they have not had a significant impact on the stock price. But this time it was a little different. The market accepted this as a bad news as Chairman Im Jin-young had been leading the Seosung Group well and was about to make a large-scale investment. Since the opening, the stock price of Seosung Electronics has fallen 3.3%, while those of Seosung C&T have fallen 8.5% and other group stocks have also fallen by 5 to 10%. On the other hand, President Lim Soo-mi is expected to play an important role within the group going forward, and the Salon Hotel rose 13%. It is natural for him to be arrested because he committed a crime, but the timing was not very good. In the development of Simangium, Seosung Group makes the second largest investment after OTK company. An investment plan does not end with just announcing the plan. In the process of doing so, important decisions must be made that will have a major impact on the company. Until then, speaking to Chairman Im Jin-young, he would have to discuss the tasks that were easily handled with the presidents of affiliates one by one. The lower the rank, the weaker the authority. The president can immediately say yes or no, but the president has to think hard about the answer. No matter how much President Im Jin-young gave the instructions in advance, the momentum was bound to drop. In any case, development had to continue, and Senior Sanjiop ran frantically to meet the presidents of affiliates. A few days passed and the aftermath showed no sign of abating easily. Foreign media also focused on the arrest of Chairman Im Jin-young, and experts analyzed the impact on the economy in the future. There has already been talk of a special amnesty. The South Korean president has great powers, one of which is the power of amnesty. President Ha Chong-min has been arguing that the presidential pardon should be abolished since the days of the opposition party, and he also made a related pledge during the presidential election. However, even within the ruling party, there was a strong wind that the president should exercise his amnesty in consideration of the economic situation and the reaction of public opinion. Chairman Im Jin-young has a good image compared to other chaebols thanks to his easy steps. A poll conducted shortly after his arrest, I don't know why, confirmed this with 83% saying they should pursue an investigation without detention. The problem is that in order to receive a pardon, the sentence must first be confirmed. However, since there were so many charges, it was highly likely that it would take at least 6 months for the trial to be completed. In the end, you will have to stay in the detention center without moving until then. Conservative media wrote articles with the tone that the arrest of Chairman Im Jin-young was a targeted investigation by the prosecution and an internal conspiracy lurking there. Many people wondered about the identity of the whistleblower. Transcripts and documents sent to the prosecution and the media are not accessible to anyone. You must be in a high position to access important information. As such, the number of people with such information, no matter how anonymous, is limited. So it won't be too difficult to identify who it is after the incident has happened. I spoke on the phone with Kim Young-jik. He is the nephew of Myung-soo Kim, who is classified as a vassal of Seo Sangha, and is an alumni of Chairman Im Jin-young. Have you identified who the whistleblower is? I think it is Moon Cheol-young, managing director of Seo Song CNT. He is classified as a close aide to former President Im Sung-young. In the process of succession of management rights, only blood was not spilled, but a large-scale purge was carried out. Chairman Im Jin-young mercilessly cut off those he thought were his opponents, and put his own people in their place. Moon Cheol-young, managing director, was also cut at this time. Under the circumstances, it seems that he did not act alone. For what reason? I do not know. I can't figure out the whereabouts and I can't be contacted. The act of accusing internal corruption is not to be condemned. Rather, I should commend you for doing a good job. What I'm curious about is the motive. For social justice? Or because of someone's instructions? He said with a sigh. It would have been much better if things had happened in the previous administration. It is difficult to respond because the prosecution is also in a tough situation right now. It must be said that he was aiming for this time. I remembered the figure of Im Sung-young I saw at the funeral of the late Chairman Im Il-kwon. He once tried to seize control of Seo Song SB with his mother Yeon-ho Yun. However, this failed and he left his group completely, giving up his original shares of Seosung Heavy Industries and Seosung Engineering. He is known to currently reside in New York with his family. So the question arises here. Regardless of the illegality of the process, Seosung Group's stock price rose sharply after Im Jin-young became chairman. From the shareholders' point of view, it doesn't matter whether Chairman Im Jin-young is good or bad. What matters is how much he raises the stock price. Wouldn't it be better to have a CEO who manages well, even if there was some illegality in the process of taking over, rather than a good and sincere CEO who is not good at management? When the illegal succession was found to be true and even arrested, the majority of shareholders supported Chairman Im Jin-young. Therefore, the management rights of Chairman Im Jin-young will not be shaken. Then why is Im Sung-young doing this now? You heard my story and said, "Isn't it just revenge?" I don't think I would have done something so thoughtlessly. If not as much as his older brother Sung-young Lim would have been faithfully educated as a manager. What on earth can he profit from this? Chairman Im Jin-young, who was imprisoned in the Seoul Detention Center, is said to have received solitary confinement. Considering that other inmates lived together in a narrow room that exceeds the number of inmates, this is a huge privilege. Interviews with lawyers were also held daily. This is also something you can do because you have money. However, no matter how good you are, a prison is a prison. No matter how good the military is, no one wants to go back. Taeyong nodded his head. Who would have thought that our president would eat soybean rice? These days they give me rice. As rice consumption declines, old rice is overflowing in government warehouses. Shouldn't it be consumed in this way? I won't be able to play Lost Fantasy online together for a while. Who raises the paladin level? Haven't you left it to the staff? I want you to shoot at full level until you are released from prison. In the yard where he was arrested, would he have even taken the game character? When will you come out? Well, won't it come out within a year? Although there are countless number of presidents who have entered the detention center, there are still so few people who have served their sentences properly. It is said that he has already organized his lawyers into the Avengers class. However, no matter how good a lawyer is, the evidence has already been revealed. Is there a way out? I remembered what I had heard from Ellie. Even if you fail in the legal battle, there are plenty of ways to get out of it. Military bail, suspension of execution, etc. After taking such a long time to be tried, the sentence may be commuted in the second trial, or we may give up the appeal in the first trial and wait for a special amnesty. It's really unimaginable for those who don't have it. If you look at this, money is the best. Isn't this what happened when you were trying to make more money? No matter how rich you are only one citizen. In the end, even Chairman Im Jin-young could not overcome the law. If you are arrested, all the benefits you could enjoy with money are extremely limited. That's why the presidents just want to avoid being arrested. I suddenly had this thought. If I sin, will I be arrested like that? Taeyong shook his head. Do I have to be guilty? You were imprisoned even when you were innocent. What? So it is. Anything you hang on to will catch you. If the government is imprinted, it will be possible to create a crime that does not exist. Some talked as if the Korean economy would collapse if Chairman Im Jin-young was arrested, but in fact there has been no significant change since then. The capital market was quiet and stock prices, which had temporarily fallen, returned to their place. In the first place, the Korean economy and the Seosung Group are not so happy that they cannot go back without one person. I took this opportunity to check the important businesses of OTK Company. The first is self-driving electric vehicles. Carlos is the #1 contributor to the growth of OTK Company. Self-driving electric vehicles, represented by the AD series, are being sold throughout the United States and Europe. Currently, ahead of the launch of the unmanned electric truck, battery replacement centers are in the process of being established across the United States. Fortunately, Daryl is taking care of this area well without having to worry about it. The cash flow is good, so there is no need to spend money. Second is porn. As the saying goes that Americans can't live without porn, as people all over the world. Faceit has the second highest access rate after Netplay among OTT services in the US. Although the number of subscribers and sales are increasing sharply every year, net profit has remained at the bottom. The reason is that they continue to reinvest. Faceit put 40% of its profits into its own porn production, while the other 60% went into developing VR, adult products and real dolls. To this end, it invested a large sum of money to acquire Dancing Rabbit, an American adult product company. Toby Strong said that Faceit will be reborn as an 020 online to offline company that delivers visual pleasure as physical pleasure beyond simple OTT service. I first knew that the word 020 could be used like this. With the legalization of pornography in Korea thanks to Representative Nam's activity, a video studio will be built in Simanjeom for the production and service of Korean pornography. Third is the battery. OTK batteries are used throughout the electronics industry beyond automobiles, and are in the process of replacing basic NCM batteries. Production has also increased exponentially. With the steady incoming patent fees, Professor Haman Kim continued his research on new batteries. The OTK Research Center plans to relocate to the site of the country's largest battery complex when it is built in Simanjeom. The fourth is a traveling wave reactor, TWR. The experiment in Russia has been successfully completed, and now the commercialization phase is slowly being followed. 8 countries have already expressed their intention to participate and have agreed to standardize technology. A TWR research complex will be built in Simanjeom. Simanjeom is a new city with a population of over 1 million and a high-tech industrial city. In the future, when the plant is operated, it will require a huge amount of electricity. Although it has not been officially announced yet, it will be partially funded by wind power and the rest by TWR. Again, we only invested money in this work, and Professor Petrov and Rosatom are doing well on their own. Fifth, Simanjeom New Town Development. The overall responsibility for this project is AKIT. Following the California Restoration Project, AKIT was in charge of urban planning for Simanjeom and made his name known around the world. Just as everyone works with MS Office, the architectural design software, ARC, created by AKIT has now become an essential tool for architects. Sixth, Vermorp development. This is the biggest project in game history. OTK Games is pouring out all the money it earns from Lost Fantasy M and Lost Fantasy Online. If successful, and of course it will, it may become a cash cow that surpasses self-driving electric vehicles. However, there are many difficulties in the development process. It will take a long time to commercialize it and make money. While many things were going on at the same time, President Ichikawa flew to Korea. After moving his headquarters to Detroit, he was busy directing the Surana project. The fact that he left his job for a while and came to Korea meant that he had an important job. He brought it up right away. To create a virtual world with VR, the current server capacity is not enough. Take you asked. How much are you missing? We need hundreds of times the capacity we use now. How bad is this? President Ichikawa said as if asserted. We need to create a separate data center. MZ operates the world's largest online shopping mall, accounting for half of US online sales. Microsoft makes Windows, which occupies more than 80% of the PC operating system. Take you asked. A question here. Where do these two companies' biggest revenues come from? In general, it is easy to think that AMZ is a shopping mall and Microsoft makes money by selling Windows. But the answer is cloud service. The reason people are unaware of this fact is that this service is mainly used by companies. No matter how profitable B2B is, it is bound to have a lower recognition compared to B2C. The name of the local bakery is more familiar than Cargill, which dominates the global grain market, and the name of the parent lending company that lends right away rather than private equity rather than RCK Brothers. I probably wouldn't have known if I hadn't invested in Keras or Faceit. On the contrary, Take-You is quicker than me on the IT side. While President Ichikawa went to meet the representatives of a Korean game company, I looked up related materials with Take-You. If you use the internet or SNS with your smartphone, it accesses the server to receive information from time to time. Therefore, a company that provides internet-related services must make a server. So where is the server? Sometimes it is placed in a corner of the company or in a basement, or a data center with servers is created. It takes enormous manpower and cost for each company to create, manage and operate a server. Where is the ransom of a high-end IT manpower? So large IT companies jumped into the cloud service business, which lends servers to companies in need. Cloud service can be seen as a rental business in a virtual space. Previously, in order to do business, you had to build your own building inside the internet space, clean it, and set up security guards to prevent theft or intrusion. But what if someone builds a bunch of buildings and recruits tenants? Tenants can come in and out at any time, clean and manage separately, and keep them safe 24 hours a day. Of course, you have to pay the rent, but this is much cheaper than building and managing the building yourself. In addition to this, there are several advantages. When an additional server is temporarily needed due to an event, etc., it is possible to increase and decrease the server capacity temporarily at an additional cost, or to use a program in the cloud at a cost. Currently, this market is split between AMZ and MS. AMZ, as everyone knows, started out as an internet bookstore. While providing ebooks and video services, I thought about whether I could lend the remaining servers to other companies, which led to the ZWB web service business. AMZ has attracted several companies to its cloud. Also, they made their online shopping mall run in the cloud. MS is a relatively latecomer compared to AMZ. Satya Shyamalan, who became the third CEO of Microsoft after Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer, entered the cloud service market instead of relying solely on Windows and Office. As his name suggests, he was born in India and spent his childhood in India, where he later graduated from college in the United States. In Korean terms, a person who was born and raised in Vietnam or Malaysia became the chairman of the Susong Group. Taekyu nodded his head with an impressed expression. It's very different from the Korean chaebols who try to pass it down to their children somehow. It's possible because it's America. It's easy to say that people don't care about origin and nationality as long as they have the ability, but the United States is probably the only country that actually does this. In any case, it was a godsend for him to become CEO. Otherwise, Microsoft would have sunk with dwindling PC shipments. However, the revenue of the cloud market is growing rapidly, and it is currently competing for the world's #1 market cap along with AMZ and Google. AMZ, the first runner, as well as Microsoft, the late runner, were able to succeed because the cloud service market is growing rapidly by tens of % every year. Recently, beyond simply retrieving stored data, the program itself is also run in the cloud. This is thanks to the rapid development of communication technology. When the 5G era opens in earnest in the future, the data transmission speed will become faster and the cloud service market is highly likely to expand further. AMZ and Microsoft's cloud is home to many companies. The same goes for the companies we have invested in. Keras and OTK Games use AMZ, and Faceit and Arcit use Microsoft's cloud. Large IT companies such as FaceNote and Google operate their own data centers, and the scale is beyond imagination. In the past, the important assets of companies were buildings and factories, but now companies are data. If Google or FaceNote loses all of the user information they have accumulated, the stock price will plummet to 1/10 right now. Conversely, this is also the reason why large IT companies survived the unprecedented disaster called Big One. Data centers are usually built in areas where land is cheap and cold. Therefore, there were not many data centers in Silicon Valley. Also, before Big One came, almost all companies backed up their servers to servers in other regions. Initially, important data are backed up in a distributed way. At that time, IT companies also produced heartwarming scenes, such as lending each other the remaining server capacity. Anyway, console games are all stored on CD or Blu-ray, so you can enjoy the game even without an internet connection. However, mobile games or online games must be connected to the server through the internet. The higher the specification and the greater the number of users, the greater the capacity required. Taijayu said, "Each server has a set capacity that it can handle, and beyond that it goes down or the connection is cut off. That's why large online game companies make their own servers and try to operate them stably. When going overseas, entrust it to your publishing company." Shigeru Ichikawa left the Linux Pentagon due to friction with the management. And he created a mobile game with the support of OTK Company. At this time, the financial situation was not so good, so instead of building our own server, we used ZWS AMZ's cloud service. And this was also the case with Lost Fantasy Online. As much as we were able to save money and manpower for server management and operation, it was a great help to focus on game development. Servers for general online games are divided by country, but Surana plans to operate an integrated server regardless of country. The question is whether the ZWS you are currently using can provide the capacity needed by a Vrmorp. If not, then you may have to stop extending the service. However, seeing AMZ, our game may become a hit in the future, so I cannot tell you to increase the capacity as much as possible first. It is understandable that President Ichikawa is concerned. Actually, if you think about it, this is not just an OTK Games problem. Karis' autonomous driving system is accumulating huge data even at this moment, and on Facete pornography that should be viewed over decades is updated in one day. In addition, M-Pizza's customer data, Akit software and AL are all in the cloud. Here's the car infotainment service. In fact, everything is data. Now, OTK Company does not need to enter the cloud service market and compete with existing companies, but it is necessary to build its own data center. The problem is that this is usually not a big deal. A data center isn't just about smashing servers. The most important thing is stability and security. It should not be down or destroyed, and data should not be leaked due to hacking, etc. For this reason, cloud service providers are putting their lives on the line for stability and security. The location of the data center is also important. Realistically, Korea is not suitable for building a data center. Because of North Korea? Well, there is a reason, but the bigger reason is that the investigative agencies scrape away all the information that is not available with just one word. Prosecutors and the National Intelligence Service did not hesitate to openly request personal information from companies, as well as intercept them in real time. As the controversy arose, Neotin said that it would immediately delete the server data and no longer provide any further information. After the announcement was made, CEO Neotin was called to the National Audit Office and was investigated by the prosecution on charges of illegal gambling at a Las Vegas casino, not only because he was mistreated by the ruling party lawmakers at the time. The basic mindset of the government is that individual privacy can be lightly ignored for the public interest. What kind of data center would you build in a country like this? On the other hand, American companies never hand over personal information without due process. That's why companies all over the world trust and use the cloud services of Microsoft and AMZ. I asked the doctors of Karis and Facete about the construction of the OTK data center, tentative name. There is no problem right now, but I think it is necessary in the long term. As the number of vehicles increases, the data will also increase. We need to build a data center before it's too late. This is the opinion of Carlos CEO Daryl Sagan. The demand for high-definition porn is growing. Currently, porn is evolving beyond 4K to 8K. We need to create an integrated server more than ATube and Netplay to serve more porn. I don't need to tell you which company CEO this is, right? Just open your mouth to porn. We met President Ichikawa again. How much to build the initial server capacity is a matter that needs to be approached very carefully. The most important thing to consider here is the expected number of concurrent users. Taking a restaurant as an example, we built a large restaurant with the expectation that a lot of customers would come, but if only a few people don't come, we will incur construction and interior costs. Conversely, if we build a small restaurant that we don't expect that many will come, but there are hundreds of people, we have to send it back most of the time. How many concurrent users do you expect? President Ichikawa carefully answered my question. I think over 20 million people. Yes. When Take-You asked the question as if it was absurd, President Ichikawa coughed in vain. Of course, you may think that there are too many. But it is quite possible. Take-You and I looked at each other's faces. It is not easy to predict which game will hit how much. However, we already know that this game will have 100 million concurrent users. Knowing this alone, it is possible to predict to some extent the required capacity of the server. Before I even open my mouth, Take-You said. 20 million is nonsense. If you do that, you will be ruined. President Ichikawa desperately persuaded Take-You. I will definitely do it. Trust me. No, what about 20 million people? It takes 100 million people to do that. Yes. This time it was President Ichikawa's turn to surprise. He widened his eyes and opened his mouth wide. Even team leader Jong Ki-hong, who was interpreting next to him, was surprised. 100 million people? Really? Taeyong nodded his head. Yes. Assume that there are 100 million concurrent users, and you need to create a server in advance accordingly. What's the loss if you send back customers who come to play? After a while, President Ichikawa came to his senses and said, "Come on, wait a minute. 100 million is too much." Take-You raised his thumbs up. What do you mean? If you are the father of Lost Fantasy Shigeru Ichikawa, you can do it. Leave the data center issues to us and focus on development. Me and gamers around the world will only trust Mr. Ichikawa. But why do you look like that? Where are you bad? Oh no. The legend of the game world, Shigeru Ichikawa, had a face that looked like he was about to die. OTK Games succeeded in Lost Fantasy M and Lost Fantasy Online in succession. Both games were a huge success, generating hundreds of billions of won in sales every month. Even taking into account development costs, operating costs, server costs, and costs given to publishing companies, it is a huge net profit rolling in. However, this money is being poured into vermorped game development and mergers and acquisitions of companies with related technologies. That alone wasn't enough, so I often poured money into the OTK company, but this time it was the biggest bill ever. In order to operate the integrated server used by 100 million users around the world, a data center larger than that of Gobble and FaceNote combined is required. Usually costs about $5 billion to build a data center. Just making 20 of these would cost $10 billion. This is so. Not only did it cost $10 billion to develop the game, but it also cost more than $10 billion to build a data center. Other than that, there won't be one or two other things that will cost money. Taeyong nodded his head. After all, nothing in this world is easy. Easy or difficult, you have to do what you have to do. To do anything, you need not only passion but also money. Fortunately, I have been making money by investing hard in the meantime. He made a huge profit from the cryptocurrency craze that once swept the world, and has since made money in the oil market again thanks to the destruction of the North Sea oil field. But the biggest profit is, it would have been impossible without Japan. That's right. If I hadn't stolen 2 trillion yen from the Nishida securities order mistake, I wouldn't have been able to make such an investment. Take-You nodded his head hard for nothing. The world will never forget the sacrifice Japan made for the game world. I will. The money will be ours. Although the cash holdings have decreased due to various investments in the past, there is enough room to invest in data centers. After all, it's not something I want to make, but it's a work that takes 2 or 3 years at the earliest. So from now on we should prepare carefully and make the server run without any problems by the time the game is released. Should I make Shigeru Ong, who should focus on game development, pay attention to such trivial things? This is not a trivial matter, but Ichikawa Shigeru is ready to get rid of the liver and gallbladder. If it weren't for Take-You, there would be no OTK Games or Vermorpk. If it's his luck, he's lucky to have met such a vice president. In any case, handling hundreds of millions of connections smoothly and maintaining security is something no one can do. Now that I'm here, I can't develop new technologies like this. For reference, I'm a Munghwa, so I don't know how the server is configured. So, I decided to take over the related companies. The problem is that all known companies have already been acquired somewhere. Data becomes a company's most important resource, and the cost of the workforce and companies involved has already skyrocketed. Google, Microsoft, and AMZ competitively bought the companies for billion and billion each. Then what? What should I do? We have to find companies that are not yet known. There are many related startups and companies. However, it is not easy to select a gem among them. Although only successful cases are well known, there are not one or two failed acquisitions either by Microsoft or AMZ. There are also cases in which the acquisition was made for billions of dollars, but only lost money. Taeyong patted my shoulder. But we have intelligence. Now let's pick one with Yeji. I said absurdly. It doesn't come out because you want it. But the moment I said that, my vision suddenly went away and something popped up in front of my eyes. After a while, when he came to his senses, Taekyu was staring at him. Did you see me? What is Yeji? There are quite a few. I contacted the CEO of Arcit. When Peter Kazuyo heard my story, he couldn't hide his surprise. You want to build the world's largest data center? That's right. After Silicon Valley and Semantium, it is now a data center. As you can see, data centers are completely different from other buildings. It is necessary to remove the heat generated by the server, maintain a constant temperature and humidity, and block dust and pollutants as much as possible. Design as well as architecture are the domain of specialized companies. You mean it's possible? Peter Kazuyo confidently answered my question. Of course. He already has experience designing data centers in Dublin, Ireland. Our company will also have to move the server there later, so we will make it the best. Great. I'm glad I took over a kit. After finishing the call, this time I called the CEO of K Company. Senior Sanjiop was surprised when he heard the data center construction plan. Do you need that many servers? Is it enough that MS or AMZ Cloud can't afford it? Taeyong nodded his head. Of course. It will be a success that far exceeds everyone's expectations. But the creation of a data center does not end there. How are you going to manage and operate security? I put out a list of 11 companies. Acquire these companies. Some companies have as few as 5 or as many as hundreds of people. The nationalities are also diverse, such as the United States, Israel, and India. Senior Sanjiop looked at the materials and asked, "How did you find these companies?" Let's say it's through expert advice and internet searches. There is also a small company, so it was a bit difficult to find. I didn't do it myself, but I had Yuri do it. Isn't this Connectin and Contact misspelled? I think Connectin and Contact already existed. Whereas one or two of these cases. Well, it is. It is often the case that an existing company name is deliberately changed to avoid spelling it. Sometimes I create a company name without thinking, and sometimes I use it as it is because there is a typo when registering. Well, we alone are an OTK company. Go to the US and buy Connectin 100%, and buy the rest of the companies around Connectin. For $2 billion they will accept it. Among them, Connectin is the largest company. 3 months ago, AMZ raised $1 billion, but the acquisition was cancelled because Connectin CEO insisted not to sell for less than $2 billion. It has since lowered the ransom to $1.7 billion. But AMZ had already acquired another company in the same industry. Actually, AMZ has already made cloud services more than 10 years ago. It would be okay for OTK company to build its own data center and migrate the servers of the companies it invested in. Do you mean providing cloud services to subsidiaries? As you know, the share of the manufacturing industry is shrinking worldwide and the share of the service industry is rising. We have to be prepared. The content service market is already a playground for dinosaurs. Not to mention Google, AMZ, and Microsoft, even NPL, an IT device manufacturer, turned to strengthening content services when phone sales began to decline. It plans to supply contents using hundreds of millions of devices that have already been released on the market. It is not easy to enter a new market like this. Rather than fighting on the board that the opponent has laid out, we must rewrite the board to our advantage. We have 3 weapons. The first is porn. Facet penetrated the pornography market, where large corporations could not enter due to corporate image and opposition from shareholders, although the two founders were porn maniacs rather than targeting a niche market. The second is Canefotainment, the fourth display. As long as we have a device called self-driving cars, we have an absolute advantage. Last is the game. My prediction is that this is likely to be the last battleground for the content market. This is not my expectation, and large IT companies also realized the importance of games early and spared no investment. Google and Play have strengthened game contents in their smartphone OS Andromeda and NOS. Actually, most of the sales and profits of the App Store are generated from games. Microsoft launched the Xbox and acquired Mojang, the creator of Minecraft, and AMZ acquired 3Witch, which has the largest share of internet game broadcasting. As time goes by, the investment in the game will increase and not decrease. With 100 million people all over the world accessing the integrated server, this is not a simple game. People create tremendous value just by being together. When 100 million users meet and chat with each other in the game, it becomes an SNS. When they fight, it becomes sports, and when they trade, it becomes a shopping mall. It's also possible that everything you do on the internet in the game can be done. If the Vrmorp can be successful, it will be able to rise to the top of the internet market, surpassing Gobble, AMZ, FaceNote, and Disney at once. That is why it must be successful. Sanjiop Sr. flew to the United States on a private plane for mergers and acquisitions. Data centers contain a large amount of memory semiconductors. Of course, the largest company that supplies this is Samsung Electronics, and the second is SSK Hynix. For reference, thanks to the competitive expansion of data centers by the IT dinosaurs, Samsung Electronics and SSK Hynix, which are mainly memory semiconductors, have benefited greatly. Take you said as if lamenting. But our president is already in prison. I'm glad to hear that he's in good health though. Usually when presidents enter a detention center, they suddenly develop all kinds of chronic diseases and apply for suspension of execution or sick bail. I don't know why the presidents, who usually seem to be correct, are so sick if they are arrested, but I can't help but admire the fact that they have led the group with such a frail body. However, Chairman Im Jin-young is not acting like a fool and is getting along well. He eats well and gets along well with other inmates, he says. I don't know if I'm really good-natured or pretending to be nice, but it's a wise choice. Because of that, public opinion is more favorable. I would like to meet with the president of the semiconductor division of Samsung Electronics. While rumors spread around the world that OTK company was placing a bulk order for semiconductors from Samsung Electronics and searching for a site for a data center, someone was hitting the deadline for returning every week. Min Ha-young was in tears. Ugh, I'll do it sooner. It's a regret I do every time the deadline comes, but it's also something that is repeated every time. As the deadline approaches, there will also be a level of concentration that was absent. Thanks to this, Min Ha-young was able to send her manuscript on time, barely on time. She collapsed on her bed and sighed, then came to her senses. Promise today. Min Ha-young took off her sweatpants and washed them, then put on the prettiest clothes in her house. She then took the subway with her bag and headed to the meeting point. Arriving first, she sat in her cafe and rubbed her sleepy eyes. She was up all night last night, so even drinking her coffee made her sleepy. Min Ha-young, who was almost asleep, saw someone arrived in front of her and she quickly opened her eyes. I'm here. She stopped to get up and say hello. You came today. Then the other party ruffled her ebony hair and said, it's about time today. Unlike Min Ha-young, who has a simple appearance, her name is Young Hannah, who has a gorgeous appearance like a celebrity. Wearing her high-priced brand, which is unknown even if she heard her name, she exudes a sense of luxury in every gesture. The important thing is, why the hell did she come here? By the way, this is the place where Min Ha-young meets Taekyu as an excuse to read her webtoon story. However, she joined one of the two as if she had met her by chance at some point, and now she is attending as if it were a regular meeting. For Min Ha-young, it was just absurd. She can't stop anyone from coming. I'm not busy. Young Hannah smiled and said, "No matter how busy you are, you have to come. I also like the Lost Fantasy series. If it's not in a place like this, it's difficult to talk." Min Ha-young bit her lip. Huh. Since when did you start liking Lost Fantasy? Min Ha-young thought that as far as her hobbies were concerned, she couldn't keep up with her. But that was too funny to see her. When they found out that their common hobby was gaming, Hannah Young spent over a month holding the game console and staying up all night to clear the entire Lost Fantasy series. And she's playing Lost Fantasy Online right now. She also said that she seeks her advice on character development, and she keeps in touch with Take-Yu from time to time. It was then that Min Ha-young realized that her opponent was not formidable. Both of them thought the same way though. After young Hannah appeared, the men in the cafe glanced at the table where they were sitting. In the midst of a very awkward atmosphere, the person they had been waiting for finally arrived. Oh Take-Yu found the two and waved his hand warmly. You came first. But he didn't come alone. A white woman was sitting next to him. Her cute-faced female name with her freckles on her short brown hair is An Ki. She is currently an international student studying at a Korean university, and she is a Norwegian princess. At that moment she thought of Min Ha-young and Young Han at the same time. Why is that woman coming with you again? A cafe in Gorosagil, Gangnam. The eyes of the men drinking coffee turned to one table. There were 3 women and a man sitting there. One looked like a middle school student. He has a small and cute face, his eyes are round like a rabbit, and he wears glasses large enough to cover half of his face due to poor eyesight. The other one looks classy in a stylish outfit. The slender face and clear features were so perfect that there was nowhere to go. And the last one is a lively white woman with her short hair. No one knew about her, but she was the most popular webtoon writer on Neo Teen, the second daughter of the president of CL Chem, and the third a Norwegian princess. All 3 are pretty, but among them Hannah Yang's appearance was unique. Her men as well as women looked at her with her eyes mixed with her jealousy and envy. I want to walk even on a horse. The problem was the man sitting at the same table. Black horn-rimmed glasses that were in full swing with a slightly chubby physique. He is wearing jeans and a t-shirt that can be sold at SPA stores. He really was an extremely ordinary man you could see anywhere. The men whispered in small voices. What the hell is he? You just look like a white beast. Then why are you having fun talking to those girls? All the women are smiling. Do you have any feelings for him? Brother, that bastard is smiling too. Leave it. Let's see something fun. Do you have a lot of money? Surely. Surprisingly, it was correct. They can't even imagine, but the man sitting at the table next to him was the second richest man in the world. Even the oil-rich people in the Middle East were nothing compared to their poor neighbors. While everyone was watching, a young man in his late 20s stood up. His name is Youngjun. His occupation is Capria TV popular BJ. Did I say that a courageous man gets a beauty? His gaze was fixed on both sides from before. It bothers her that she smiles at the man she's with, but aren't I much better than an otaku like that? Originally, this place was for Min Ha-young to discuss webtoon stories with Oh Taegyu. Therefore the theme was still Lost Fantasy. Annika said with a bright smile. I'm enjoying your webtoon, sister. It was so much fun. All my school friends say it's fun. I'm also working hard on that star rating. Min Ha-young blushed slightly. Go thank you. One sheep stuck her tongue inside her. When did this princess learn Korean like this? Annika was not shy at school and naturally got along with her peers. As a result, she learned to speak quickly. Besides, she could speak Japanese to some extent, so she could learn Korean with the same word order faster. Thanks to this, it is now possible to communicate at any level. My pronunciation was still a bit sloppy, but it made me feel cuter. Most of all, it bothered me to add oppa at the end of every word. Since when did Norwegians start taking titles like older brother or younger brother? I don't even call you oppa. It was a mistake. I should have changed my title from Take You to Take You Oppa earlier. Would it be too strange to come and call you like that now? Although I received quick education about Lost Fantasy, it was difficult to follow the flow of the conversation as the story progressed in depth. I was so relieved that I saw the ending. I have to go to the job and clear it one more time. One of them brought up a topic she knew well. I heard they were building a data center this time, she said. Yes. Shigeru Ong said he needed his own server for Vermorp. You have to prepare in advance. For now, Lost Fantasy M and Online will continue to be serviced by ZWB as it is. He said it was nothing, but it was a huge project. The world's attention was focused and the stock prices of AMZ and Microsoft fluctuated as important customers were expected to leave. Experts poured out predictions that OTK company could enter the cloud service market in the future. Isn't the location decided yet? I am looking. When it comes to building, there are many places that will tell you to come, said Annika. How about Norway, brother? In a data center, temperature management is important. A server running 24 hours a day radiates tremendous heat. A tremendous amount of power is consumed to dissipate this heat and cool the interior. However, if the data center is built in a cold area, it becomes easier to control the heat. So, recently, research on how to build a data center under the sea is also being studied. Taeyong nodded his head. I'll be fine. I'll talk to Jinhoo once. While we were chatting over coffee and juice, a man approached the table. Excuse me. Is it okay for a second? He was a tall and handsome young man. In fact, he has a lot of female subscribers for his handsome looks. At the sudden appearance of an outsider, Min Ha-young slightly shrugged her shoulders. One of the sheep showed an annoyed expression and Anku expressed curiosity. Who? Yongjun was more famous than most celebrities in his 20s and 30s, and his monthly income easily exceeded 100 million won. When I talk to women, most of them shout and rejoice as if they had met even a celebrity, but unfortunately, the people at this table don't seem to have much interest in internet broadcasting. Yongjun introduced himself. Good morning. This is Yongjun, who is doing BJ on Capria TV. Taeyong recognized him. Ah, that BJ Yongjun. I know. But Annika was very surprised. Yes. Do you play BJ? Really? Yongjun smiled. Yes. BJ. Hey, it's natural to be surprised. A successful BJ is an envy job. In particular, if it's BJ Yongjun, it was in the top 10 on Capria TV. Not long ago, the popular girl group Girls' Day appeared on his broadcast to promote a new song. Annika asked, perplexed. I'm a man, how can I do BJ? In the early days of Capri TV, there were many pretty female BJs. That's why even now when I say BJ I think of women a lot. He said proudly. Is there a law that says you can't BJ just because you're a man? Women's BJ skills are excellent, but I think men's BJ skills are no less than that. On the contrary, there are parts that I can do better as a man. Annika was convinced by his words. Well, because tastes are different. Right. There were two reasons for the subtle discrepancy in the conversation. Yongjun didn't notice, but Taekyu knew why Annika was so surprised and smiled inside. The first is the difference in the interpretation of certain words, and the second is because Annika is not yet familiar with Korean. Taekyu said hello and asked with a serious expression. It's really not easy for a man to do BJ, but he's amazing. Ah no. It's something I love to do. Taeyong nodded his head. Wow, you seem to like doing BJ. Yongjun was a man who took pride in his job. Of course. It's my job. I always enjoy doing it. Oh, you enjoy BJ? No one can beat the one who enjoys it. Of course. I do my best every time I do it. Taeyong continued to ask. Then BJ must be very good. I think I do as much as others, but I still have a long way to go. You are so humble. I think Yongjun is the best for BJ. Yongjun was embarrassed and waved his hand. Ugh no. There are many people who do BJ better than me. Taekyu raised his thumbs up. What do you mean? BJ is Yongjun. Yongjun is BJ. You're the best on Capria TV. Truly the best, BJ. Thank you. Why do you lift me up like this? Are you my fan? Yongjun gained even more confidence. Annika asked Taekyu. What is Capria TV, brother? Internet live broadcasting platforms like YouTube. If you go on the internet you can see this guy here doing BJ. Ah, that's right. Not to brag, but a few days ago I hit 1 million subscribers. Annika was more than surprised. You're broadcasting it live on the internet? Yongjun didn't understand. Why are you so surprised? Are you from a country without internet broadcasting? Annika said admiringly. Mom, I didn't know. Is Korea that open? It's not easy even in Norway. In Korea that was possible. Taekyu nodded his head for nothing. It's an advanced internet country. Well, it is. I heard that Korea was also legalized recently. Taekyu looked at him again and asked. But what are you doing? In their conversation Yongjun felt something strange, but anyway he came here for one purpose. He said, looking at the sheep. I've been watching you since before and the people in your party are so pretty. I like it so much. Can you give me your contact information? Before one of the sheep could say anything she asked in key with a puzzled look. Do you like Hannah's sister? Does that mean she likes you? In this case it is better to go out without taking it off. He nodded. That's right. You are my ideal type. Why? Why? You like men. I am? No, why do I like men? Annika said with an innocent expression. You are gay. This time it was Yongjun's turn to panic. Yes. Crab gay. You said you were doing BJ. Read more at wuxiax.com. Oh yes. I do BJ. Why? I don't know why this misunderstanding occurred, but somehow I had to clear it up. Yongjun looked at young Hannah and said. Oh, that's a misunderstanding. I'm never gay. I don't like men either. One of the sheep shook her head. I don't care if you're gay or not, go back. Then give me your phone number. One of the sheep let her sigh into her. It's not the first time she's been through something like this when she walks around alone. If he refuses in a good way he thinks he has a crush on him and he keeps pushing him, and if he rejects him badly he gets angry or swears behind his back. I want to tell him to turn it off, but I can't do that in the presence of Taekyu. When one of the sheep raised her hand slightly, the plainclothes bodyguard sitting at a table near her got up quickly and blocked Yongjun in front. Go over there. Come on, wait. What are you guys? Yongjun shouted as if being dragged away. I am not gay. I like girls. I'm not gay. I like girl. Annika tilted her head. Aren't you gay? Taekyu explained to Annika, who didn't know English. In Korea, people who broadcast on the internet are called BJs. It's short for moderator or broadcasting jockey and feels like a streamer or creator. Annika, who only then understood, nodded his head. Ah, that's right. For some reason I thought it was strange to say that I do BJ with confidence. In Korea that's what BJ meant. It must have been a big misunderstanding. Min Ha-young opened her eyes like that. What do you mean? Are there any other BJs? In foreign countries it is usually used in a different sense. What? Search. Min Ha-young, who was doing a search on her smartphone, was startled and dropped her phone on the table. No, that's absurd. BJ is a blow. Taekyu reached out his hand and covered her mouth. Huh. Up to there. Min Ha-young's face suddenly turned bright red. Hannah-young looked at it and thought. Is this sister pretending to be naive? Is she really naive? The four of them moved to the bar and continued to chat happily. But at some point the conversation stopped and an awkward air enveloped them. Everyone drank quietly with awkward expressions on their faces. Taekyu looked at him and thought to himself. Well, in reality the harem route is not easy. When I heard Taekyu's story I was taken aback. And he said he met those three at the same place? Well, is it a social gathering for Lost Fantasy fans? All three are busy. Would those girls ever come out to talk about games? You are popular these days. Taekyu muttered with a serious expression. Come to think of it, I've never been popular with a woman before. Don't take that seriously. It hurts my heart for nothing. I patted her on the shoulder as a sign of consolation. I know how you feel. Then Taeyong shouted. Lie. How does an insider like you know my heart? You even got a confession from a high school girl. Ellie, who was listening to the story next to her, was startled. To a high school girl? This is by no means strange. Because I shouted at Taekyu. At that time I was in high school too. What's wrong with a high school student being confessed to by a high school student? If other people hear it, they will be misunderstood. Aside from that, you said that you confessed that you liked middle school girls when you were in college? Ah. There was such a thing. But why are you talking about it here? All of a sudden, Ellie was giving me a cold gaze. You're a high school girl. Jinhoo, she was such a person. I waved my hand. Well, it's not like that. How the hell did she meet that middle school girl? When she was in freshman year, she was part-time tutoring for a while. So what happened? Of course she refused. Are you continuing tutoring? It was short-term anyway, so I quit after 2 months. Ellie looked at me and smiled. Now that I look at it, Jinhoo is quite popular. What? To be honest, she wasn't very popular or anything. Wouldn't it just be average? But in times like these, it's best to pretend you're there as much as possible, right? I just shrugged my shoulders. There were some girls who wanted to study together during the exam period. Later, after I got accepted to Korea University and got my name in front of the school, other classmates and juniors came and made similar confessions. Ellie's eyes lit up. Really? How many? I do not know. Is it 1 or dozen? There were actually 3. To be precise, it wasn't a confession just to the extent of just wanting to be close in the future. I was stabbed for lying, so I changed the topic. By the way, how was Ellie when she was in school? Was it popular? Ellie frowned slightly. Ugh, I hate just thinking about it. Why? I went to an international school and the boys talked to the point where I couldn't study. Even male students from other schools keep coming to the front of the school, so phone calls from parents pour in to protest and I get scolded for nothing. There have even been times when I have confessed to a girl. Even then her hair was short. If she refused, she cried on the spot and there was no fuss. She has a pretty face, studies well and is good at sports. No wonder she was popular. There's no point in having to brag about her popularity in front of Ellie. As she quickly lowered her raised shoulder, her Taekyu crossed her arms and muttered with a serious expression. Is this the motiki you've only heard of? Don't take that seriously. Ellie looked at me and asked. What is motiki? It means that you will reach the peak of popularity 3 times in your life. It's usually not popular, but suddenly people around you are of the opposite sex. Really? It's just a myth. In general, popularity is like money, so those who have it will continue to exist, and those who do not will continue to be absent. There is such a word in Korea. I was the only one who didn't know. It's not Korean, it's Japanese. It's a word used only in the industry over there, so most Koreans won't know it. But how do I know this? So which of the 3 do you like? I'm seriously thinking about it. Can't we just decide? No. Once you decide on a route, wouldn't it be the marriage ending? Huh. Does this child misunderstand the reality and the unreal? Most Myeonsi have a marriage ending when they decide to date, but in reality, dating doesn't necessarily mean getting married. Rather, aren't there more cases of separation in the meantime? I said to Taekyu, who was worried. Anyway, work hard. Whether you want to enjoy motiki for the first time in your life or not. But that's not to say that this isn't necessarily a good thing. What's wrong with that? If you do it wrong, it could be a nice boat ending. Oh, you have to be careful. You have to be really careful. Ellie tilted her head. A nice boat? What does that mean? This is too long to explain again. As we were talking in bed together, Ellie asked, Did Jinhoo ever think that he wanted to meet another woman? No. She doesn't answer right away, think seriously. I thought seriously, then she answered. Not at all. There are a lot of women who say they like Jinhoo. So did Rose McDowell and so did Angelina Tinter. I burst into laughter as I recalled the incident. These women aren't Ellie. Ellie stared at me. Where do you like me? Everything is good. Really? Of course. I love you. I love you. I looked into Ellie's eyes and said, the best thing I did was to meet Ellie. As important as success in work, finding a good mate is important. Bill Gates, who was once infamous as a rogue Silicon Valley entrepreneur, became the world's largest donor after marrying the company's programmer, Melinda. Jake Byron has said that he wouldn't have started AMZ without his wife Mackenzie Byron. His wife also stood by and helped him when he smashed a successful company and created the online bookstore AMZ, although he had just announced her divorce. FaceNote CEO Mike Goldenberg immediately married the lover he met after the listing. It is said that his marriage contract even specified time spent with his family. What if I hadn't met Ellie? She would have continued to earn money, but she would not have felt as happy as she is now. Ellie smiled and hugged me. She said, I love Jinhoo too. With the global economy showing a moderate upward trend, the world's attention was focused on Russia. This is because Professor Petrov's team started full-scale operation of the TWR. OPEC and shale companies as well as countries around the world have been watching the situation closely. This is because depending on the direction of TWR, the global energy market may change. The results were not significantly different from everyone's expectations. Breaking news: successful commercialization of a traveling wave reactor. Professor Petrov's team, there is no problem with performance and safety. CEO Rosatom Trusova reveals that the nuclear power plant market will be reorganized into TWR in the future. President Vysotsky sends congratulations directly to officials. Wow. A new reactor. Were the Brown Bear Hyungs at this level of skill? The skill of touching nuclear weapons since the days of the Soviet Union has gone nowhere. Nuclear development was the easiest in the world. Jinhoo Kong, who invested in it, is even more amazing. You invested later than Warren Boat and it paid off earlier. Is TWR the trend for new nuclear power plants now? Professor Petrov will win the Nobel Prize in Physics. Professor Ho-Min Kim, Professor Petrov after Professor Mohan? What kind of investment do you get from Jinhoo Kong to win a Nobel Prize? But what is KMP doing? Aren't you supposed to run over there? We need to phase out nuclear power. When the experiment was successful, commercialization was only a matter of time. However, it was thanks to the participation of nuclear power plant companies in each country that the road to commercialization was opened so quickly. Oil prices fell by more than 4% on the news of the development of a new reactor, and the stock prices of related companies that are expected to benefit greatly rose. Trusova announced plans to build 3 TWRs in Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is a region facing the Baltic Sea, originally connected to the mainland of Russia, but fell apart like an island when the 3 Baltic countries became independent. It is in the middle of Western and Eastern Europe, and crossing the Baltic Sea leads directly to Northern Europe. It has been in the spotlight as a production base for automobile companies for a long time, as it can enjoy geographical advantages and lower labor costs compared to Western Europe by building a factory here. Karas also pointed this out as a European production base. The fact that Rosatom was building a TWR near its industrial complex meant that he had that much confidence. The ruble rose on expectations of economic recovery, and President Vysotsky's approval rating exploded. Currently, Russia is subject to economic sanctions from the West. So far, the approval rating has been raised through territorial disputes, but there is no need to do so when the economy is recovering. President Vysotsky held talks with European leaders every day to emphasize economic cooperation, and to this end he expressed his will to implement the Minsk Agreement. The armed conflict in Ukraine has ceased. Although Russia still has real influence in eastern Ukraine and an army is stationed at the border, the worst has been avoided. As the situation in Ukraine entered a lull, there was an atmosphere that NATO allies took a breather. In Europe, influential media poured articles saying, Jin Hukong did what NATO couldn't do. Rosatom also considered building a large number of TWRs at the border and then selling electricity to neighboring countries. Even today, Europe relies heavily on Russian pipelines for its natural price imports. However, this will lead to a situation in which the country will depend entirely on Russia for its power. As Europe moved to ease economic sanctions on Russia, France, unlike Germany, was cautious. The reason is, of course, that France has the largest nuclear power plant company in Europe, EDF. Experts predicted that Rosatom would surpass EDF and become the world's largest nuclear power plant company. I spoke to President Vysotsky. Congratulations. He laughed out loud. Your prediction was correct. Thanks to the TWR, the Russian nuclear power industry is in the spotlight worldwide. The heads of countries are also showing great interest. I was very excited from the sound. Well, these days the approval rating, the ruble and the stock price have risen significantly, so it'll be exciting. Energy is the country's top priority. As we all know, Russia is a resource-dependent economy. Except for the arms industry, however, it did not stand out particularly in the manufacturing industry. The commercialization of the TWR was a new opportunity for Russian manufacturing. Digging and selling underground natural gas has little job-inducing effect. However, nuclear power plants create many jobs in construction as well as maintenance. The parts industries below will also grow together. Also, if industrial electricity can be supplied at a low price, other manufacturing plants can be attracted. The immediate benefits we can get from TWR are few. The value of the stake has already risen more than 5 times compared to when it was invested, but it cannot be sold elsewhere according to the contract. Anyway, the money Rosatom earns from TWR will continue to be used to build new nuclear power plants. It is meaningful in that it has taken a step forward in the Russian market and the future energy industry rather than immediate profits. As TWR increases, the influence of OTK company in the energy market will also increase. How is Simangium going? Shouldn't a TWR be built there too? Yes. Simangium will be a good opportunity for economic cooperation between Korea and Russia. A research complex and related facilities for the aerospace industry will be built in Simangium. Russia lags behind Korea in most industries. However, there are clearly areas where Russia has strengths. One of them is the aerospace industry. Not to mention aviation, space development is not immediately profitable, but it is clear that it is an important industry for the future. The top 3 in this field are, of course, the United States, China, and Russia. In terms of technology, the United States is still the best, and China has successfully launched a manned spacecraft by pouring a huge amount of money into the country over the past 10 years. Russia is a traditional space powerhouse, although investment has slowed recently. Developed countries are already paying attention to space development, and Korea is also showing great interest as its economic level has risen to some extent. By the way, Chairman Im Jin-yong was arrested. Are you okay? Of course. 'Cause I'm not guilty. If there is a problem, let me know. I will do whatever I can to help. Thank you for your words. Does it mean that Russia is behind the US? There's nothing bad about it for me. I have a summit meeting with the Korean president soon, so let's have a drink of vodka then. I will buy it. Okay.